No, you're live. All right, guys. Hey, we're live because Andrew says we are. So my name's Lloyd, and for those of you who haven't met, who I don't think I've met you before, so good to see you. Hope to meet you later. This is our training that we're doing at the EXP Lunch and Learn that we're starting to do whenever we're having these meetings at 11 o'clock. We're roughly 10 past 11, 4 past 11. We start setting up about 11. And just so you know, in case some of you aren't going to be here for the meeting that follows this training, we are starting to talk to and work with one of the other big teams in the San Antonio region, and we're going to be combining forces for some of those meetings as well. So we're very excited about that coming into the new year. So we're talking to Lisa and Melanie on that, if you know who they are, and it's very, very exciting. They do, by the way, I can't remember the date right now. I think it's the 9th that Randy Booley's coming into town as well, who's going to be doing that. So that's going to be very exciting. He's a formerly top 25 financial advisor on Fortune magazine, pretty badass guy. So, but for this, what we're doing right now, we have the amazing Adam Graham. Adam is going to be doing training. Adam's been in the mortgage industry for like 59 years or like 15 years, something like that. So, but anyway, he's got some really great information to share, so you guys get up for that. Adam.
How's everybody doing?
Hi, how you doing?
So before I get started, have you guys heard of a Buydown, 2-1 Buydown, 3-1 Buydown, 3-2-1 Buydown?
Yeah.
So this is kind of a confusing idea because normally when we're talking to our clients, we're like, hey, here's the interest rate to qualify for. You can pay points to buy your rate down. So that's a permanent buy. So if you pay points to buy a rate, that rate is bought down for the entire 15 years, 30 years. A 3-2-1 buydown, they're like, these are short-term buydowns. So when you buy the rate down, it tiers down every year. So for the first year, in this situation, if it's full 3-2-1, the first year the interest rate is actually 3% lower than what they qualify for. And then the second year, the rate goes up a point, and then it goes up another point. And then after on the fourth year, it's going to be the full amortized, full interest rate. Now in this period, they can refinance. So if rates go down, which we anticipate they will, so while you're in this 3-2-1 buy down, at any point you can refinance into a permanent lower rate. And I'll explain that to you. So I'm going to be standing up and down because I got to show a couple of different things. But a 3-2-1 buy down is kind of confusing even for us. This has been around forever. We just haven't needed it because rates have been so low for so long that we just took advantage of the low interest rates. When rates spike like they have in the past year, this is, in my 18 years of doing this is the quickest rates have gone up and the highest they've gone up in such a short period of time that they dusted this program off and said, okay, let's do some 3-2-1 buy downs to help our clients qualify. They still have to qualify for the higher rate, but this helps keep their payment low for a period of time. So I'm going to explain kind of two ways. I got to sit down because I keep quoting. So I'm going to show you. So let's just do a scenario real quick. Let's say you have a conventional buyer that's buying a $400,000 house, and they're putting 20% down. I'm just going to take a normal. So hopefully this is big enough for you guys can see rates.
Oh, cool.
He thought this was it.
I'm coming home.
Don't go to the light. Okay, so this is generally what people think of when you're buying a rate down. So you'll see right here, anything in green here, these are rates that if we give the client this interest rate, we would actually owe them back a lender credit towards their closing costs. Anything that's red costs money. So this is where you would talk about buying an interest rate for your client. So right here, if I just got this client and they didn't want to buy the interest rate down, today they would qualify for the 6.5 interest rate on a conventional loan. But if they wanted to pay a point, like this 0.98 right here, they could pay a point and buy the rate down to 6.125. And that rate is at 6.125 forever for the full 30 years. If they wanted to pay 2 points, they would get right here to the 5.75 or 5.875, I guess. And that would be a buy down of 2 points. So see how much this costs on a $400,000 loan, 20% down. This 1% buy down would cost your client, $3,100 here. This would cost $6,200 here to buy that rate down. But that buys it down permanently. But it gets expensive. So on a 3-2-1 buy down, how this works is you take that same client, so this loan would be $320,000. And remember, they qualified at 6.5 was the rate they qualified without paying any points. But right here, if we do a 3-2-1 buy down, right here, the first year, and you can do a 1, just a, so you could do just a 1-year buy down, you can do a 2-year buy down, you can do a 3-year buy down. So how this works is they qualify for 6.5. The first year, we're going to buy that down 3 points. So their first year payment is going to be based on 3.5% interest rate. So monthly, they're going to save. So the payment's going to be 2022 principal and interest at the 6.5. The first year, they're going to save $585 a month if they were at a 3.5 interest rate. And the second year, they're going to save $401 a month, and then the third year, they're going to save $205 a month. So how this happens in a 3-2-1 buy down is you need this. If you're doing a full 3-2-1 buy down from the seller of the house, you have to get these funds from the seller. So your client, if they do a full 3-2-1 buy down, the first year, $585 times 12 months, the first year they're going to save $7,028. The second year, for the full year, the second year they're going to save $4,800, and the third year they're going to save $2,400. So you're going to need to get a seller contribution of $14,311 to buy this rate for all 3 years.
Can the buyer pay for any of it?
The buyer can't pay for any of it. So we can,
Gift funds? Can you use gift funds?
no, it has to come from the seller, and it has to come, and this is why you're hearing about all these 2-1 buy downs. Like, yeah, let's do this. 2-1 buy downs, go. Well, it's not as easy as that. Can you guys on a $400,000 deal? Can you go get $14,000 credit from the seller right now?
Really hard.
Maybe, maybe not. So on a 2-1 buy down, and this is a full 3-2-1. If you just did a 2-1 buy down, it's more reasonable because you're not saving that. You're not dropping it 3 whole points. You're only dropping it 2, and it's saving them money for 2 years. So that's $7,200. And then on 1 buy down, it's going to save you $24. This is an easier one to do, but it's only going to save them $205 a month. If you're buying a $400,000 house, $205 a month isn't that big a deal. But this is how buy downs work. 3-2-1 buy downs. This is how they work. And as soon as they came out, I was like, I'll explain that this is why they're good in a way, but is this feasible? Is this something that you can go on a $400,000 deal and ask for $14,000 in closing costs?
But you also need closing costs.
But you still need your down payment. You still need regular closing costs, and you need to buy this interest rate down, or you got to pay for this, and the buyer can't pay for it. The seller, you have to get seller contributions for this. So, okay, you have a question?
Well, I was just gonna say a comment, the good thing about this right now is a comp is still a comp, right? So you still have comps from the summertime when the prices were still high to qualify. So especially right now, with seeing a lot of the price reductions that are happening in the marketplace, you can go back up on that price, still use those comps, might require a little bit more work working with the appraiser and having them use the comps that actually work. But especially right now, this is pivotal going into the new year to leverage these type of programs because you can still use those.
So the longer days on the market.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you truly work the deal.
And this is an option. I mean, this is out there, but I've just, so like I said, we didn't need this before. Back, we've had low interest rates for years and years and years, so this program's been around for a long time. We just didn't need it until rates have jumped up. So the other side of this, though, is if you're working with, so next, we're the largest broker in the nation. We have 200 different lenders we work with. A lot of the lenders offer this program. But here's the other side, is a lot of your loan officers that you work with work for one bank. And so retail loan officers, their rates are quite a bit higher. And I've gone to several meetings where they're talking about that you guys need, because rates are so high right now, that you need to get seller contribution from your client so they can do this 2-1 buy down. Because what's happening is where these interest rates are green for us on the broker side, our margins are lower on the broker side than they are on the retail side. So I was at a meeting where a gentleman of a very large company here said, hey, you guys, on a great credit conventional loan, we're at 7.25, but it costs 2 points to buy that interest rate. You guys need to get 2 point seller contribution so we can buy the rate down. The 7.25 still costs 2 points to get. So that means when they look at their rate sheet, it's red all the way down, and the highest interest rate still costs money for your clients. And I don't know if you've run into this when you're trying to get pre-approved. They're saying, hey, your client is approved for this amount of money, but we still have to buy the rate. We need a discount point or two to get there. So that's where these 2-1 buy downs, they started doing this because their interest rates were already literally off the chart. So over here, if you guys go get, what was that, $14,000, look how far down we can buy this rate permanently. If you went and got $14,000, that rate would be at 5.375 for all 30 years. So the situation is if you come to me with that person and say, hey, now this has happened, say, hey, I got a 2-1 buy down, the seller's already agreed to pay the fee. Now, instead of me, I can get them at a 6.5, we can buy it down a point right here, and get them down to a 6 1/8, and then we can use the rest of the money to go towards their closing costs. So the situation is we can do a 3-2-1 buy down, and it's the hot topic right now. We're talking about these 3-2-1 buy downs, but they're really not necessary in this environment if you're dealing with a broker, because our rates are already so low that we don't need to, I don't want to say throw that money away, but that $14,000 is a short-term buy down. It's not for the life of the loan. It's for 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, and then 2 years, and then that money goes away, and then your client is stuck with that 6.5 interest rate for the rest of the term. That over here they would have got a lender credit. I guess it was 6.62. I was off an 8, but so instead of paying all that money for a Band-Aid, paying $14,000 for a little Band-Aid, we can lock in a good rate, and then we can even buy it down 1 or 2, but that's for the life of the loan, and use the rest of the funds to pay for their closing costs. That's a much better deal than paying for their 20% down, plus their closing costs, plus the buy down. It's too much money. It's a lot of money for a short-term fix. So I would suggest if your clients are asking about these 3-2-1 buy downs, just have them reach out to a broker and have them show them different options. Because if you're getting that much money towards closing costs or from the seller, you can use it in a much better way that's going to help your client for a longer period of time than just this really quick cut. So that's a little niche thing that's happening right now, is because on the retail side, rates are so high that they need it just to make the deal work, because their clients don't have a down payment and closing costs and the ability to buy the rate down 2 points. That's too much money. And people are not, they're just going to wait. They're like, I'll wait. The rates come down before I buy. And that's what's stopping the market right now. So do you guys have any questions on any of this?
I do.
Yeah.
So you also do a 2-1 buy down, did you say?
Yeah, so you can structure, I showed all like the 3-2-1, but you can do any combination. You can do a 3-2-1, you can do a 2-1, or you can just do a 1.
Okay, I didn't see that.
And so if you do the full 3-2-1, it would be 14,000 over 3 years.
Yeah.
A 2-year buy down would be just about 7,300, and this would be just shy of 2,500 for a 1-year buy down. But look, if I took that $2,500 right there I could buy that rate if we even needed to, because I'm already starting at a lower interest rate, like 2 points lower on the interest rate because we're on the broker side versus the retail side. So we could throw that towards closing costs instead of buying the rate.
You know, one of the things I think though for the agents, especially any of the newer agents, though that this is important, is depending on where your client is within their career. So for example, maybe you have a military doctor coming out of residency, going into the private sector, and they make this today, but they've got a job offer that they're going to be accepting in 3 months. Well, they're not making that today, but they want to go ahead and buy the house based on the military pay today. This is a program for them because they can get the house and they can get into it because they're already going to have their offer letter, right? So, and a number of things. Maybe you've got an engineer rolling out of college who already has an offer letter when he graduates in 4 months that's going to be making this, but he otherwise qualifies based on his part-time worker, you know, whatever. I'm just saying that those things, I mean, I've done hundreds of those.
So in that scenario, that's a good one. So let's say we did the 3-2-1 buy down on that scenario. And you did get this from the seller, you got the $14,000 from the seller, and you did this 3-2-1 buy down, so he qualified for 6.5, but now he's making a payment on the 3.5. So a year later, he's making more money. He can actually refinance. Rates came down, his credit went up, his income went up, everything's good. And he's like, hey man, I want to get off this. I want to lock in a low interest rate right now. So right here, you got this $14,300. The first year you used this $7,028 right here. But you wanted to refinance off of it. You left this money on the table. So this money right here, the $7,200, when they go to refinance, we give them a credit for the $7,283 that they didn't use.
Oh, really?
So we can use that towards closing costs. We can use that to buy down the rate permanently. We can use that in the refinance because we got the full 3 years of contribution, but they didn't stay on it for 3 years. So whatever's remaining from this initial contribution from the seller, we can use it in their closing costs when they refinance. So that's a cool one that they're not going to lose it. If you don't use it, you lose. You know, you don't use it, you lose it. You don't. Whatever's left on it, we get to use towards their closing costs when they refinance, and then we can lock them in on a long-term lower interest rate. That's awesome.
As a listing agent, if we do listings, can we make the buy down, like offer the concessions based on them using our preferred lender, like a builder?
It's kind of one of those builder things. Like it works for builders, but it doesn't work for the general public. No, I mean, this is on camera. There's actually so I have had realtors say, just like with builders, you have to at least apply with my lender. We're only taking pre-approval letters from my lender. You don't have to use my lender, but you at least have to get pre-approval, or we won't take your offer. I don't know. I mean, that's, you know, I've seen that happen.
And what payment do they, so if you're doing this, I gotta qualify for the 1,400?
Yeah, you have, so to qualify for you have to qualify for what you qualify for today. So they qualify for the 6.5. They have to qualify at the 6.5 interest rate. That's income ratio, all that stuff. But they're not gonna be making the 2022 payment, they're gonna be making the 1436 payment for the first year, 1621 the second year, 1816 the third year, if they stay on it.
But the underwriter will consider, like in those cases, like, oh, you've got an offer letter that's gonna make this, whatever, they'll kind of help get it through, or is it?
I mean, it's situational, yeah. If you have an irrevocable offer letter, then yeah. You can't say, once you pass your drug test, or once you pass your background screening, like it says, congratulations, you have this job, and we'll start on this day, and this is how much you get. So, yeah.
And so they're really just prepaying interest. And you just get the seller to prepaying some of my interest, because the math works out. It's not like your payment's cheaper, but the lender's still getting all the money. The lender's still getting all their interest. It's just
It's sitting in an escrow account at $14,000. They're just holding it, and whatever you're not making, like this first year where you're saving $585, you make your $1436 payment, and then $585.67 a month comes out of this $14,000 that's sitting. And they make that payment and then when they refinance, whatever money's left over is still your borrower's money. Yeah. It's still your client's money, so they get to use it towards their refinance. Yeah.
Where do you see the rates going?
We've already seen the turn, so, you know, I check the market every day, so retail is like in the sevens right now, it's at 7% interest rate. On our side, on the wholesale side, we're in the sixes. On conventional, your government rates are always lower rate, VA, USDA, FHA are always lower. But conventional rates right now are retail in the sevens, wholesale, we're in the sixes. And so we're always gonna be, on conventional, we'll always be about a point lower. And on government, we're gonna be probably about 2 points lower on rate because our margins are so thin on the wholesale side. But we're already trending down. We were, this week, actually, yesterday was a great day for rates. I locked in a bunch of clients yesterday on rates because we had pretty good improvement. And then we took a little bit of a hit this morning because the jobs report came out this morning and it wasn't as favorable as I thought it was going to be. So rates are jumping up today because of that. But I could bore you with all that stuff all day. So, but yeah, that's my livelihood. I need to know when to lock people in. You know, it's like you gotta. I always say it's like fishing, man. You throw a line in and you just sit there and wait. And as soon as you see a dip in a 30-day period while your clients are under contract, at some point there's going to be a dip, and that's when you lock it in. That's when you lock them in. And yesterday was a perfect day. I saw the trend going. I was like, I'm going to lock them in. And then they announced the jobs report today, and they jumped back up. So locking in yesterday was that dip while we're fishing for rates. So any other questions? Went pretty quick on that. So
what was the 2,500 on a 1-year Buydown if you on rate? So
if you qualify for the 6.5.
Right. So I'm saying it'll get you a 5.5 here, but on your rate sheet. So if the seller gave me $2,500, I said, let me do something permanent and temporary.
There's actually. I was one line off. I was doing all this on the 6.5. Equals 6. So right here, $2,500 would get us from the 6.5. $2,500 get you right about here to 6.375 to buy the rate. And right here, it'll show you what the savings is. So you're talking about $53.
Okay.
And so I would just, it's situational depending on your client, like saving $53 a month is cool. But normally because rates are going down, right now I'm not really having people buy a rate. I'm using that money towards closing costs and things and saving the money today because we're going to be refinancing. Anything we're doing right now, any loans we're doing right now, we're going to be refinancing in 6 months to a year anyway because rates are coming down. So I would rather them use it towards their closing costs, save money now because we're going to save you money. Just get the house now, find that house now, get in the house now, and we're going to fix the rate later. Yes, sir.
So one thing we're seeing, and I wanted to make sure that y'all can do it, if someone gets locked in, whether it's in a buy down or not, and let's say they finance in a year, year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, do y'all have access to banks that will either limit or wipe out their refinance fee? I don't know if y'all covered that already, but I've heard that some lenders are locking them in, getting them into the property, and then they'll do a free refinance.
Yeah, if you refinance in a short period of time, the fees are minimal. The title fees are less. If you've set up an escrow account, one of the further in the year you refinance, the more expensive it is because we have to collect taxes from January 1st to the day you close, and so we have to reset your escrow account. But then you get a refund of your current escrow account, whatever's in it. To get around that, if we refinance with the same lender, we say, hey, you already have their escrow account. We're not going to charge them. Just roll it over. And so that limits their escrow account's already set up. The title fees are less. So yeah, if we refinance in a short period of time, the fees are minimal. So we can waive those.
So would you say like within a year or 2 years, 3 years?
I would say anybody that's locking in the rate buying a house, My opinion, we're gonna refinance them within 12 months anyway.
Right.
I don't think it's gonna take 2 years. I mean, not everybody refinances immediately. Some people, wait, drag their feet. But I'm definitely going back on my clients and saying, hey man, rates have come down. Let's go ahead and get you that lower interest rate. And yeah, we'll waive the fees, or we actually roll in the fees is what it is. Like we just kind of take a hit on it. And so we'll help them out, especially if they're repeat clients. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna take 2 years to refinance. I think we'll put them in a better situation in a shorter period of time.
How much does the rate have to change before it makes sense to refi?
There's a lot of factors in that. The old rule of thumb was it had to be at least 1%. So like if you lock into the 6.5, it's gotta be at least a 5.5 or better to refinance. It's definitely situational with your clients, because if values tend to go up, if they keep trending up, and we were getting equity in a house that we have been getting the past year or so, it might be worth it to refinance at the same interest rate or even a little bit less, but roll in a bunch of like do debt consolidation and actually help their budget. I was just talking about this before. So if I can go with the equity in a house and eliminate a lot of debt, and let's say it saves your client $1,500 a month because we eliminated the debt. The debt didn't go away. It just went from the credit cards, car payments, student loans, but it went into their house. It didn't go away. It just got moved. So now I say, hey, I just saved you $1,500 a month. If you had no problem making your payments and I saved you $1,500 a month, let's say, still take that $1,500, but throw it at your principal every month. Or keep $500 in your pocket and throw $1,000 for the principal every month. And then I'll show them how quickly in both scenarios, how fast they'll pay their house off. It's all about educating your clients, because if you look on a 30-year mortgage, how much interest they pay, if they make all 360 payments, it makes your eyes water. Like, oh my gosh. So you want to help your clients pay it off as quick as possible, get equity. And we have several other loan programs for that. We have an all-in-one program that helps accelerate how to pay off the house. And then you can take that equity and buy investment properties with it. We have a whole slew of programs. This is kind of pointing at the 3-2-1 Buydown, because this is the popular thing. I'm seeing it all over the internet, Facebook, everything. Hey, we have these 2-1 Buydowns, 3-2-1 Buydowns. And to me, it's an expensive Band-Aid that we don't really need. We can use those funds for other things, because we're going to fix these people in 6 months to a year anyway. So to me, it's kind of a waste of money. But that's on TV and it's on the internet, and that's just my opinion. Other people might have a completely different opinion of it. So, but everything's situational. If somebody comes to me and like, hey, I want to 2-1 Buydown, 3-2-1 Buydown, it might, for their situation, it might work. Like your situation, having somebody that's like, hey, I make this much money now, but I'm, in a year, my income's gonna explode. So that might be a good situation for them. But that's why having 180 to 200 lenders, we have a ton of programs, a ton of products, a ton of banks that we're gonna place your client with, put them in the right loan for them. It's not cookie cutter by any means. Every situation is different. Every client is completely different. And we're gonna just put them in the best situation for them personally. So, if you guys got any questions, just let me know. I know I ran through that pretty quick, but I just felt that a lot of people, it's like the buzzword right now is 3-2-1 Buydowns, and they don't really understand how they work.
Yeah, I would just comment, because everyone wants leads, right? And we're coming into the time of year where everyone wants to pick up new leads. If you haven't been doing this for a long time, everyone's sketched out a little bit right now on the rates, even though they don't really know the impact of the rates, especially because you have to think, well, the rates for 14 of the last 15 years have all been around 3 to 4%, right? So all the typical buyer understands right now is, oh my gosh, the rate's over 5 or the rate's over 6. They don't really understand, right? So if I were you and you were looking for leads, I would be out there and be like, hey, we have a lending partner who can offer X. If you're looking for a house still and you're worried about the rates and wondering, contact me ASAP, DM me, whatever you say, right? So market that. Understand it from their perspective, because they don't know what they don't know, right? So you have to understand, they've been looking around and they've been procrastinating, and they're like, oh my God, the rates are like 6 or 7%, the news, and they hear the stuff, and now they see your post and go, we can get you in at a rate, whack, with approved credit, right?
Yeah.
For possibly between 3.5 to 4.5%. And yes, these still exist. So, you know what I mean? You just gotta make it, you know, have the implied fear of loss, so that they'll contact you.
But also educating your buyers right now is even when, so last October, so just over a year ago, rates were in the 2s to 3s. But everybody was, all these houses were going $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 over asking.
Right.
So I have a client right now, actually, and I showed her the map. She was looking in the $500,000 range, and she was a 3.5% interest. But everything that she was looking at was going for $50,000, $60,000 more. Now I show her, she got a $500,000 house, but she actually got $10,000 off of it, but her rate is 6.5 right now. So I showed her the math. I was like, okay, 3.5 at 550, 560 versus, you know, a 6.5 at 490, and I showed her the payment. So now you're getting this house that you would have spent $50,000, $60,000 more for, but the rate was lower, and I showed her the payment. Now you're getting this house for $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 less than you were, and the rate's higher. So we're gonna fix that rate. But if I lock her into the 3.5% interest rate, she's still paying $570,000 for this house over 30 years. So now I get you at 490 at a 6.5 for a month. Okay, so you're gonna make 6 to 12 months payment on the 6.5 interest rate. As rates come down, I'm gonna refinance you and lower your payment, but you've already saved $60,000, $70,000 on this house. I can't get you that now.
Right.
I can't go, hey man, I can't go back and fix how much you bought it for, but I can fix your interest rate. As it's coming down, I can lower the rate. So she's only gonna have, you know, a higher rate for a period of time, but she's right off the bat, she saved $70,000 on the house. And I thought it's actually a blessing in disguise that she didn't get that 3.5 interest rate a year ago.
Yeah.
Because that $70,000 in equity is gone. And if values went down, man, like she paid $570 and the house only worth $490 now, she just lost $70,000 in equity. I think this is a better situation even though the rate's higher, because we can fix the rate. So right now, like they're saying, fall in love with the house and take the rate. That's what they're saying. So, but that's actually what's going on. Like, this is the best time to buy that house because they're sitting on the market a little longer. And the rate, we're gonna fix that rate here in, 6 to 12 months. So tell your clients that. But yeah, but the rates are high. But yeah, but I can't, I'm just showing how unfortunately, I wouldn't say values have gone down. It's just the bidding wars have gone away. And you guys know better than I do on that. So, but yeah, so just let me know if you guys have any questions. And then that was my.
Thanks, Adam.